So with me here, we have Mr. Maxwell Lamini, former SNAS president, and to my far right there is Comrade Zimbabwean Asa, who is the chairperson for Youth Forum. So I will end the time to Comrade Zimbabwe for a brief statement.
Thank you, Comrade Phil. Firstly, let me thank you all colleagues for making it to our press statement. We really appreciate that you find time to come and listen to what we have been doing. Just maybe as an introduction to what we will be saying here. Here with me here is Comrade Maxwell, who is from Swaziland. He's a former president of Swaziland National Student Union, and he's also currently working with them and their director, or say in their secretariat department. So what is happening is that Youth Forum and the SNAS, the application for the student movement, for the comrades, they have been working together, I think, from 2010. This was necessitated by the fact that we realized that we had striking similarities in our situations where we come from. By this I mean the situation in Zimbabwe and the prevailing situation in Swaziland. So it also happened that by that time we were having a common partner. So we realized that we could have a Zimbabwe-Swaziland relationship where we could have young people sharing their experiences and probably trying to So it is during the 4 years that we have been working together that we realized that we actually should broaden our solidarity across the region. So with the comrades here, we are going to probably try to give you what we are planning in the nearest future, and towards building a regional, at least for a start, a regional solidarity network amongst young people. And them also have got a specific interest in students' activity. So probably Comrade Max will also share with you what they are planning in that regard. But ours is a network that we intend to encompass a lot of young people from the region. Here in Zimbabwe, we also are working with other young people from different youth organizations together in trying to build this relationship. We routinely have delegations that we send on exchange visits to Swaziland and vice versa, so that you could have a first-hand experience of what is happening in those countries. So in a brief, that is the background of our working relationship with Comrade Max. So I will end to Comrade Max to give this presentation.
Thank you, Comrade. It is quite a very good evening and things now. And thank everyone for good afternoon, of course. And thank everyone for coming here, the journalists for taking their time and meeting us. I'm Maxwell Lamini, as they've indicated. I'm a student activist and a youth activist, and very much passionate about the development of my country, but my region and Africa as a whole. And it is what has brought us here in Zimbabwe to say the time for a new person, for a new people in a new society is now. Our solutions are no longer with the old guys that you've been playing and that you've been in the past, engaged in the stuff. As young people, that the challenges are facing, the challenges of today, which include unemployment, inequality, crime, prostitution, all those things, they affect us directly as young people, and they are going to continue to affect us in the following day and also in the generations to come, if we do not stand up and confront them as young people in these particular instances. We have had quite a great time in Zimbabwe. We have met with youth forums and with different organizations across all spheres, which has been quite interesting. And we have met with some of the political parties, civil society organizations, and also students. We visited them, and we understand the problems that are faced by our colleagues, our brothers and sisters in Zimbabwe, that they are quite similar to the problems that we face in Swaziland. We know that there is what you call the quasi democracy in Zimbabwe. But political parties, organizations, society organizations are not allowed to freely engage in activities that seeks to strengthen them and that seeks to speak to the people. Whenever they want to have activities, they are harassed, they are intimidated, they are disrupted, which is the same thing that we are facing in Swaziland. And in Swaziland, we are having an absolute monarch, which has all the powers vested in the king that appoints the prime minister, the House of Senate. We also even declared. But here in Zimbabwe, for an absolute monarch that you continuously renew after each every 5 years. So, as we are going to 2018, unless we do something, we dictatorship that is happening. And already signs they are there that not only just the old man, but even his spouse is going to take over after him, if anything that is going to be going by the process. That is not what maybe brought us here, but what brought us here is the issue of a new generation. That as young people, we have seen and we have suffered so much. In the streets, you've been arrested, you've been brutalized, you've been tortured. And still, you are not there. Young people, they are fatigued, they are hopeless now in Zimbabwe. It was so close in 2008. We were thinking that maybe 2018 would be better, but all those hopes, they just vanished into all this thing here. And some people, they touch just for counseling, things that maybe do not even matter in their lives. But today we are saying for our that there is still hope for our country. As a new generation, with a new generation, to reclaim our continents, to reclaim our countries in terms of moving forward. That is why we are going to a new solidarity organization within that will seek to address all the problems that are facing us within the region. Because in South Africa, they still face the issue of unemployment. Poverty. You go to Namibian challenges in Angola, the same challenges that wants to meet just social activities. But it wants to take over all spheres of society. The next elections, what we are saying to NGCT, it is what we are saying. Parties. The matters of the GNU in Zimbabwe has taught us a lesson that as young people we were left out in the process. We fought, we in the street, we were brutalized, and we all faced those challenges. But when it was time for sharing the cake, the young person, they say, you must go to school, you must go and find work. But how do you not find work when this also unemployment? So that is why the young people are now going to say, in sports, in church, in business, we want to create ethical leaders that are going to promote the interest of Africa as a whole in terms of moving forward. We are already on course because in Junior, also reviving the Southern African Student Union, all things are already in order now. It's going to the generational mission and vision, we are very much serious about it, to say, in the next 10 to 15 years, we want to have taken over the countries in all spheres of society. So the revival of the Southern African Student Union, it will provide a platform to produce ethical leaders and offer solidarity, practical solidarity among all of us. So that academic freedom in Southern Africa, in the same language in Zimbabwe, the same language should be happening in South Africa, Namibia, and Angola. So we are also going to be working on that one. But you cannot also completely forget about the issue of political detainees or the issue of political prisoners. That is why today we are making a genuine plea combat that release and bring back safely combat Ita Zamari and all the other political detainees in Zimbabwe and also in Swazi and also in Angola and across the Southern African region. We can know where young people are going to be arrested and detained for rightfully raising genuine consent and sharing information. This is why we, the people of Swaziland, we feel deeply concerned, and we are pleading with the President, Robert Mugabe, and anybody that has got any knowledge to share with that knowledge with his family, the leaders for human rights in Zimbabwe, and also even with the police, because it needs to be self-report home combat. And it's a struggle that says young people we are going to the political detainees that are impressive, and some in Swazi and Angola, the 15+2 and all the other people. And we're also going to campaign for a more democratic dispensation within the Southern African region, where issues of dictatorship, issues of totalitarian are going to be issues of the past, because this new generation want to agree to the opponents without going to extremes. That is why we are extending an olive branch into the youth of the ZANU-PF to say we are also facing the same changes that we are facing as practice. And if today you do not want to take charge of your life, we are going to inherit a Zimbabwe that is corrupted and with no resources, that you are not going to even be able to live with your children in terms of movement. So they allow to tolerate each other, live harmoniously, and agree to disagree. And we even more complex to emphasize that we must listen more to those that and want to convince and persuade them into our cause and how best we can transform our country in terms of moving forward. So that is our visits that we've been having here. And we'll be coming back in Zimbabwe and we'll be going back into Swaziland and we'll be going back to Botswana and also South Africa. Because just like they did and build a strong solidarity network during the labor, we are now building a strong movement that say we want to revive the hopes of the aspirations of the national liberation struggle that was waged across Africa and Southern Africa, in making sure that all those gains or all those gains that you received after the national liberation struggles, they are attained in all just in vain, where people are just abusing the power that be to further their corrupt work. So that's what brought us here. We appreciate each and every one of you that has come here. And we're looking forward into building a strong regional youth organization that will be guided by the views of tolerance, democracy, good governance, transparency, and accountability in terms of moving forward. Thank you, Congress.
I'll take a round of questions to those who have questions and those who need clarifications or those with additions.
Yeah, Max, you talked that you said that Swaziland is an absolute and as an activist, ideal situation of government for that country. Do you want that monarch to be abolished, or what kind of reforms do you want to see?
It is our firm conviction, comrades, that Swaziland belongs to all that live in it, as much as we in Zimbabwe belongs to everyone that lives in it. So we do not want to abolish the monarch. We believe that they've got a key role to play in the building of a sustainable and prosperous Swaziland. So we are looking at monarchy, where the monarch is going to be about politics in terms of moving forward. We do not want to wish them away with this. Let them play their part in the development. At the same time, they must also let us enjoy our rights, each and every one of us. If the king wants to come into politics, he must come as an equal partner, just like everyone else. But the ideal situation is a constitutional monarchy for us, guided by the institutions of the constitution that will each and every one of us abide by it.
Right. You sound good.
You mentioned that your vision will take shape in 15, 16 years time. 16 years time, you guys will no longer be youths. How can you be sure that you will also not fall in the same trap where you deny the youths that becoming space in the political space? Do you have systems to guard against that sort of thing carry?
The major problem that faces after the issue of cut-off personalities, where we placed our hopes around the Comrade Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, around individuals' leadership. So what we want to do now, we want to create institutions that will develop the continuous layers of leadership. To say we must be able to produce continuous leaders, institutions that will be supported and also assist each and every one of us. But right now, there will be no. That is why in Zambia, they do not have somebody that's going to take over. They don't think that they have anyone that can take over or they can be Zimbabwe unless there's Robert Mugabe, which is a challenge that we've been facing in Africa. I think the same challenge within the embassy without Samurai. But if we're having this institution that will continuously produce leaders, young and capable leaders, to able to go into each and every sphere of society and train the continuous and prepared for the task ahead, we're not going to have a problem with that. And when we talk about 10 years, comrade, this generation issue that is happening with political government, they get 10 years. 10 years, it doesn't mean 10 years if you're going to be taking 10 years in each and every one. And we must be able to hold each other accountable. It might not just because it's called Kakama, or then you might have that because they've been doing quite a good job, and let us allow you to take a third term. But when it's Comrade Robert Mugabe wanting to renew here, then we start to see a difference. So we just decide that we are able to abide by all the conventions and agreements that you have taken as young people, so that you can change the subject into something that is going to look into the interest of each and every one of us here.
I think my question is maybe regarding I think you answered that, but maybe for recording purposes and also for clarification purposes. That how do you think as the youth we can guard against capture by the donors and also capture by the opposition movement? Like, how can we as the youth be an independent body? Like the problem that we face, like in the situation of Zimbabwe, the reason why we are where we are now, it's not only because of the Mugabe regime. It's partly because the opposition have brought into the student achieve when they interfered in student matters, and also the donor money that has come with corruption, that has come with people losing morals and principles for the sake of money. So I think I would like to know, how do you think we can guard the autonomy of the youth and the NGO and opposition political parties, so we can come up with something that is fresh, something that is untainted from what we've been experiencing in the past?
Our major problem as young people is that we have ran away, from where the main sources of government. We have been captured by the opposition because we did not play our part as young people to be present in all the spheres of government in the opposition party itself. We only want to interact with them when we have activities. But you must inform the policies of the MDC or any other opposition party in this particular country. So as we concern with each and every political party to say, what are you discussing about issues when you're not there? And it's time that as the young people, as youth, will say, how best do you want to play our party? Because we have made a mistake in the past that we so much believe that they can just cook for us, we come and eat when they've just finished cooking. What we have seen, because we already have an experience, that we are already coming from a government of national unity to say your hopes and aspirations have been betrayed, even there, to a certain extent. But right now we say, let the youth go and involve themselves. Whether it's not MDC, whether it's ZANU-PF, but you've got a role to play to say, whatever policies that are pursued by any other political parties, it has got a direct impact. So do not just say we do not want to involve ourselves with the issues of national governance, we want to focus on these issues, because those issues are an extension of the national issues of governance. So you cannot have a problem of unemployment if the policies, they do not address it. So that is why we are saying the youth must go and infiltrate each and every sector of society to be leaders in those particular sectors. Because if you do not do that, we are going to have a problem where we are going to come back and say, hey, we have been disappointed by comments or so, because it did not inform those policies that have been happening. The issue of donors, it is the societal problem that we are facing to the issue of corruption, to say our society, it has been able to produce ethical, transparent, and accountable leaders. And it is because, the reason is because we have focused more on our opposition to say, Mugabe is doing this, but we have never been having a Comrade Wellington, accountable to say, Comrade, are you able to follow the issues of good governance within your own entity as an organization? Because we must start within ourselves so that we resemble the good principles of democracy, of accountability, and of transparency. But our focus has always been the opposition and the opposition. But right now we must come back and say, how do we produce a new people for a new society, for a new Southern African region that are going to be ethical, accountable, transparent, and also responsive to the needs of our people? That is where the issue of saying this generational mission is a mission to develop a new person for a new society with a new vision to transform our country. We are no longer just focusing on the issue of governance. We just want to reduce the issue of maybe reducing Robert Mugabe, putting another person. But we must go into sports. There's the challenge of young people that determines the future of young people that go into sports. We must be equally concerned with what's happening. We must go to church so that we can be able to produce ethical church leaders. We must go into business to produce ethical business people that we not want to be bought and to be used into corrupt activities in organizations or in countries that do not follow human rights. But we must be able to say, no, I cannot work in that particular country until we are able to do 1 and 2 and 3 things. So this is where this new vision to say, let us go and develop a new person for a new vision of taking Southern Africa and Africa forward. Because in the past it has not been happening.
Any more questions? Yes, madam.
Is that feasible, really, considering that the current generation of youth is different from the ones that participated in the liberation movement? We have a crop of youth who don't want to soil themselves, who want to be given things on a silver platter. Is that vision feasible?
It's going to be a struggle, comrades, and you are up to that challenge. And I think the question that you are raising today is the same question that when Robert Mugabe, Samora Machel, Semi Joma, Oliver Tambo, when they sat down to talk about the issue of liberation, they were faced with the same question to say, is it feasible that you can be able to wage a struggle that will bring national liberation into our region and also into our continent? But I believe that you've got young, capable leaders within the Southern African region and also Africa. If you could look what the youth have done so far in Zimbabwe in the struggle, post-liberation, it's an evidence that you still have those particular people. If you look at what is happening in South Africa with the Rhodes Must Fall movement, the Hedgefields Must Fall movement, it's giving us hope that is something that's going to become in place. If you look at what happened in Tunisia or what happened in Egypt, it means that Africa, we do have those young and capable leaders that can be able to take us forward. So it's a matter of coordinating and organizing those and it's solidarity Because what has been happening is just been having loose activities. The Swaziland youth is just doing its own thing there. The youth in Zimbabwe is doing its own thing there. And the national liberation struggle was not going to be possible had they not come together and formed a strong solidarity liberation movement where they were assisting each other. So that is why we've taken those lessons to say, let us work with each other now in building the strong visible movement. And we are up to the challenge and we understand that there will be challenges, but we are going to get our hands dirty. We have been getting our hands dirty. It has been the youth that has been arrested, that has been tortured in Zimbabwe, that is being forced into. It is the youth in Swaziland that is in exile, that is in jail, that's in the streets. In South Africa, it is the youth. You go to Lesotho, it is the youth that has been suffering. The number of them in South Africa, in exile. So we still have those capable leaders, coordinating them into one strong body where you'll be getting solidarity and support in terms of taking our community forward.
Yeah, maybe one last question. Yeah, yesterday you mentioned about the challenges that we faced, like from back in Swaziland. Maybe if you could maybe tell us the accounts of you said you've been tortured, you have been charged, you have been, is it arrested? Maybe if you can tell us briefly about that, maybe as a background to our story, since this is for journalistic purposes.
Oh, yes. I'm the student leader in Swazi, the activist, 11 months in prison, charged under, said in possession of explosives. And I was given some quite very much ridiculous bail conditions that I had to report into the furthest police station in the country. So it was the nearest one. And then in 2013, I was also arrested and charged under Sedition and Subservient Act for organizing or for questioning, in fact, the money that was being spent on the King's birthday. I spent about 4 months in prison. And then in 2014, when I was the president of the SRC, I was charged for singing a song during the Workers' Day. And I was charged with terrorism, 2 counts of terrorism and 2 counts of seditious and subservient act. Fortunately, while I was still in prison, because I stayed about 14 months there in prison, I only got released last year when the ILO and the European Union and also the whole international community said they should go. I'm still a working prisoner. I got 6 counts on my head. The possession of explosives, I was able to be acquitted of it after the Crown's case, saying they were never explosive, it was just all those things. But now I'm left with the terrorism counts and also the seditious counts. We have mounted the constitutional challenge against those acts because we believe that you cannot just say for singing a song this is terrorism. You cannot just say for questioning the King's birthday this is terrorism or seditious act. So I'm still a working prisoner and having about 100 years hanging over my way if I actually charged and convicted. And you're having people that have already been charged and convicted in this case. One is actually serving 85 years in jail. Another one is serving 65 years in jail. Another one is serving 15 years in jail under these particular acts, which are actually similar to what I'm being faced with. So I'm a working prisoner now. I'm still out there. And these are the challenges that we are facing as young people moving forward. Hence the need for strong solidarity among ourselves, because the struggles we face in Swaziland is the same struggle that we are facing in Zimbabwe, of young people being detained, arrested, kidnapped, even forced into other parts of the world.
I don't know if there are still another question. Yes,
yeah, I think this endeavor is a very difficult endeavor, taking into consideration the biological position in society. Do you have any possible allies that you are going to work with, say, the church or the labor, in making sure that we should achieve difference will articulate.
Precisely, comrades. It does not mean that as young people are just going to do things just by our own. The issue of unity is very much important in moving forward. That is why we are still calling for unity amongst the Zimbabwean people themselves. That organize yourself into a united front that will be able to challenge the status quo. You may have your differences, ideological or otherwise, but you're still facing the common enemy and also for the common vision of putting in place a democratic dispensation that will allow for the participation. So yes, we are going to engage, already started engaging trade unions, we are already starting to engage with church organizations, rural youth organizations, and all other spheres. I was with the deputy for I2, he happens to be a Zimbabwean in Zimbabwe, about 2 weeks ago, where we were also discussing this particular issue to say it is time for the people that are going to take our strategy forward, especially since everyone is fatigued and tired and saying there is no hope now. We have tried, but we failed. But we want to re-energize ourselves, rejuvenate ourselves to say the end is near, our hope is going to be met. And nature is going to help us in some other instances. We're going to take its course with all those that are oppressing us.
You mentioned something about that Twitter revolution, the one which happened in Tunisia, Egypt, and Morocco. Is it the way that we as Southern Africans can overthrow those monarchies?
Our strength, comrades, revolves around the mobilizations of all our people across all spheres. And now we must also tap into the digital world. Twitter is sending information as quickly as possible. How best can we use it into our advantage? Taking from lessons that we have seen in Tunisia, in Egypt, and also in Libya and all other parts of the world. But I think our is just to say, how do we transform the sharing of information into action, tangible action? Because I think this is where we are still lacking as young people or as the Southern African people, that we are still not being able to transit it into action. But South Africa is giving us quite some interesting, where you see people venting their anger in Twitter, but the Christmas food movement, they were able to transit it into action. So it's not going to happen overnight, but with time we must be able to transit these things into going forward. And one good thing that has happened is that we have been able to counter the lies and also the state media, because in the past they used to give us information, but now we are able to send information as quickly as possible and counter all these lies that are manufactured in state media and all those other institutions of the state.
Any more questions? I think there are no more questions. Thank you for coming to our press conference. Have a good day.